have you been? It's we did before Pesach, and we're now on the eve of Shavuos. Several weeks later.
Yeah, where you been all my life? I know. Without you, it's just kvetching just isn't the same. It was the Seder table was good, but I missed you. Welcome back.
Did you practice in front of the mirror at all? Or just with other people?
Like my co-kvetcher once said, kvetching comes naturally. I don't practice, just happens. It's good.
Okay. This is, but this is really exciting that we're on this platform and we have a special guest all the way from Israel.
Oh, the Holy Land. And that's why we're not sitting next to each other in the room, so that we can extend our kvetching to across the globe.
Right. But since we're in Denver, we could have been sitting next to each other too and still have done this. No, I mean, outside of your office environment or something, I know we could have done that, but no.
It's a question for another time. Is virtual kvetching better than in-person kvetching? Maybe the readers should comment. What do you think? The readers, viewers, whatever we call those people. Yeah,
viewers. Yeah, it's a better term.
They should go to our our website there. And take a look, and that way they can comment, they can share, they can give us a kvetch or a question, which is also something we appreciate. Go to cleanspeech.com/let's kvetch. And there you can check out our previous episodes. You can hear all the things we kvetched about in the past. I think we're about a year in here.
Oh, yeah.
We've been kvetching for quite some time. And
this is like our third episode, too. No, just kidding.
Just kidding. We are, Howard, tell us where you got the idea to have tell us who our special guest is and where you had this idea to get our special guest onto the show today.
Well, first of all, our special guest is Aleeza Ben Shalom. We can bring her in, though. No, can we bring her in?
Well, why don't you want to introduce her first, and then we'll ask her.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead.
So Aleeza is a globally respected matchmaker, dating coach, and author, best known for her role in Jewish Matchmaking on Netflix. And I got to tell you, disclaimer, I've watched a couple of those episodes. I won't say the name, but we actually had one of the dating, I don't know what you call them, one of the dating persons. She'll correct me.
Matchmakers?
No, she's matchers. Anyway, with daters, yeah.
Singles. We call them singles, I think.
With decades of experience, she is now scaling her efforts from one Jew at a time to one Jewish community at a time, leading the Jewish matchmaking movement in partnership with World Mizrahi.
Okay, so now we know who we're having. Now tell me, what was this idea? You've been talking about having her on our show. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'm just curious what gave you the idea. You're happily married, I know. So what's the
and I honestly I can't tell you where the idea popped in. It's it was so long ago. My age stuff, things go
right. Comes in one year and out the other. Okay.
All right. But clock's ticking, so let's get
without further ado. It is really nice. Let's get there she is. Hello, welcome, Aleeza.
My favorite kvetchers. How are you?
Really, that's so nice of you. At least we're favorite of somebody. It's like
I remember when you were here visiting. That I think was in December of 2024, maybe. It's like a little over a year and a half ago. It was at one of our really one of the more fun events that we did. Some live matchmaking on stage at the JCC. It was so cool, and it's a pleasure to have you. See you again. Have you on our show.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But Aleeza, if I may, because I in the intro, I mentioned about the Netflix show. So before we get into our topic, if you don't mind, how that even came about with Netflix and the concept and stuff like that. So just minutes on that, if you could.
Yeah, they were doing a show called Indian Matchmaking, and it was wildly popular. And they're like, "Ooh, we have like a brand. We got Indian matchmaking. Hey, we could probably do Jewish matchmaking." And Netflix said, great, go find us a Jewish matchmaker. So they went on a hunt for a Jewish matchmaker. They reached out to me, a whole bunch, like everybody in my network, they contacted, although they didn't find me. They actually found my friend, and she's like, I don't want to do this. Call Aleeza. You're going to like her. She has answers. She's, improv on the spot. She can, work with you and do whatever you need. So a matchmaker made the match with casting and Aleeza.
Wow, that is so cool. So and do you still talk to the Netflix people?
I still talk to some of the producers that I worked with, and we're in touch.
Great. So just in case after this podcast you want to you want to mention, Rabbi Leban and Howard Wedgle from Let's Kvetch, just in case you wanted to say that.
I got you.
Great idea, Howard. This is our big break, maybe.
Don't forget. Anyways. Okay. So the topic again that is right up Rabbi Leban's alley and mine is, not talking negatively about people, etc. Shmir lashon, and this is what we hold by. But we'd like
it's such a challenge. I mean, I'm sure in your industry that comes up a lot. I just want to just tell you, in your honor, or really I should say at your encouragement, we had this past Sunday a matchmakers meeting here where people are talking about great singles to introduce. Hey, I know this great girl. Hey, I know this great guy. And I came at the beginning just to give a short intro about, remember that we're going to talk about people, and we should, and we need to. We want to help them to meet each other, and it's exciting, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to do. But we have the concern that we got to be careful. We're talking about people in public, and you got to be really careful, right? This is your bread and butter.
100%. Speaking about other people, you have to have the right intention, the right purpose. There's so many different details. Do you have firsthand information, secondhand information? You just heard it through the grapevine. What are you allowed to say? What are you not allowed to say? What are you obligated to say that you must say, whether you want to or you don't want to? Because making a match is a really big deal. Really.
Sorry, Rabbi. So let me ask you this. So if I say to a friend of mine, I met this person, this lady last week. And he says, tell me about her. So that's my lead into you. What can I say?
I would start with things that you know to be true, firsthand information that you actually know, and things that are obviously positive, right? And it's not just what you say, the words that you say. It is also the tone. It is your facial expression. Because if you're like, oh yeah, she's a lovely person. If you're looking at my face right now, my face is not saying lovely is coming out of my mouth, right? Something's going on. So if you really want to represent somebody, you need to speak honestly and truthfully about who they are. But there might be times where you actually have to share information that is not happy, positive, wonderful information, but it is important information that we would say is litoeles, which is with a constructive purpose. So just for example, there was somebody that was looking into a match, and they said, oh, I know that you know so-and-so, or I heard that you worked with them before. I happen to have had information about this person that wasn't glorious, wonderful information. It was firsthand information, meaning I knew it directly from that person, and it was potentially problematic and damaging. When I say damaging, I mean like it could ruin a match, and it could make it not happen because I can give you an example. Somebody isn't honest in business, right? So like they might not be such a good person, or if you know that they cheated on the last person that they were dating or that they were with, that's, information. How do I know it firsthand? Do I know it secondhand? Is this new information? Sometimes people have asked me about people, and I said, I do know them, but from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago, I don't have updated information. So I don't really have anything to share because I don't know who they are today. I only know who they were, and I literally have no idea who they are. So trying to figure out what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say, when I have to speak up, it's actually a great challenge.
Yeah. It's one of the few times where you're caught between a rock and a hard place. Sometimes if you want to be careful not to say lashon hara, something negative about someone, you just stay silent. Here, when asked about a match, you don't always have that privilege, because you to stay silent and not to say something that you should say could be also a problem. Let's say, for example, like you said, you know that somebody cheated on their in the last relationship they were in, and you know, that would be something that someone getting into a relationship with them would want to know, and to not say it and say, well, I don't want to say it, it's negative, I don't want to say anything negative about anybody. Here, you might be setting someone up for failure, which would be tragic.
So let me ask you this: when you are interviewing your singles, and what's the process like? I mean, you know, you have a database of X amount of people, of course, in different communities. I know you work with a few people here in Denver, you know, in other communities. But so, what is that communication like between your shadchan? Is that the correct way? Shadchan, you know, in the various cities. What do you talk about, and then relaying to the prospective single person?
Right. So there's two parts of the process. One is that I interview the single themselves and I get to know them. We do take a lot of data and a lot of information that we have in a database so that we can always, I can't always have everything on the top of my head. I have to have it written down so I don't forget about it. And then I want to connect with other matchmakers and say, hey, I have this great person that I'm working with. Do you know anybody? Is there anybody in your city or in your community that might be relevant? So we're constantly receiving data and information from people and then also transferring it out, and obviously with somebody's permission. There have been people who have said to me like, oh, I'd love for you to work with me, but like, don't send anything out. Don't do anything. And I said, well, I can't work with you. Like this is how the industry works. We literally collaborate. We count on each other. We do have to share information so that I can connect with other people to see if we have a match. I can't just give such generic information, because if we say specific is terrific. If it's specific, then I can identify who might be a good match for you. If it's like just generic information, you could be one of hundreds or thousands of people. It all sounds the same. So it does start with data and information, making sure that things are accurate, making sure that it's detailed enough, and then kind of saying, great, here's who I'm working with and who do you have? And then I go to my matchmakers network and we collaborate and try to come up with ideas and try to make matches.
There's various Jewish singles platforms.
Yes.
So how are you different? What do you have the human connection. I don't know how they work. So, but I've heard of them. I mean, whatever, the 2 or 3 different ones, I don't know. But how are you different from those kinds of platforms?
Right. So a lot of platforms modern day, it's a database, and now they're using AI. So they have artificial intelligence, they're pulling data, pulling information, and they're bringing people together that way. And I like to say we have HI, we have human intelligence, and you have real people that are meeting you, real people that are knowing you and that are going out on your behalf to pitch you. And it's almost like a recruiter for a business. So if you were hiring and you're like, Aleeza, I need somebody, I got to fill this position. Great. What are you looking for? And tell me about all of the details. And then I'm going to go to my personal network and say, listen, I've got this incredible company. Here's what I love about them. This is the kind of person that they need to fill this role. Who do you know? And I'm going to vie on behalf of them, and I'm going to leverage my network. So it's not just about one database that I have, because everybody has a way to hold their information. But what's more important than my database is my network. Who are the other people that I can collaborate with and connect with that's much larger than my database? And so I would call myself a super connector who is trying to constantly reach out to different matchmakers and different communities to, like on behalf of the singles I'm working with, pitch them and really like heart to heart say, help me. Who do you know, and who else, and how can I help you?
So such beautiful work. It's so must be so rewarding when when you works out and you have matches and people getting married and you just see families emerging. It's just so beautiful. Yeah. Let me ask you this. I would imagine in the process of, you're also a dating coach, is that right? Mentoring and helping people to date successfully, right? Yes. Do you ever find yourself talking about they're kvetching in the process? I mean, let's get real specific here. Sometimes either because they're kvetchy or they're kvetching about the people that they're being set up with. And how do you respond? How do you guide them? Is this something that you talk about?
And the kvetchers, go send them to the original kvetcher, and then I'll say, I'll coach them on that too. That could be a side gig for me.
Howard, this is not, wait, this is not how to kvetch successfully. We're talking.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay.
So dating is a difficult process. And I do think that people need a place that they can just release that tension and that stress and the frustration and everything that's going on. I think there is a way to healthfully kvetch, which is, hi, I have a problem. I had a bad date. I had a negative experience. Something happened. And to identify it, right, so that we can release it. But we need to do the positive side of it, which is, what is the purpose of this, right? This happened, but I want to go on a good path towards building a relationship with somebody. How can I use this experience as a springboard to get me to where I want to go? So I'm always going to flip the script and look from a positive side and say, what is it that helped you to learn or understand? You won't make the same mistake again. Great. I'm glad that we had this experience. What are you walking away with? So that the kvetching isn't there just to release it and just to get it off your chest, but to process it, to internalize it, so that when we move ahead in dating, we can say, great, I had an experience like that. I don't like this. I want to navigate differently the next time. Hey, Aleeza, I'd like to try dating a different type of a person because this type isn't working for me. So it has to be litoelis. It has to have a constructive purpose. And also to tell people, like, what does this information do? Like, once it comes out of your mouth, where does it go? And if you disclose this to me, is this necessary? Like, do I need to know this, right? If something problematic happened, right, we might have a problem. Somebody might have a pattern of behavior that's very negative or abusive. That might be somebody that we can't really set up until they get the support that they need. That's information that we do need to know. But at the same time, if that's just your experience, or it bothered you or rubbed you the wrong way, but it's not really a problem, you just didn't like it, then we have to identify what's a problem versus what's not good for me. And those are really two different things.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Things that some maybe subjectively might bother one person, but are not objectively problematic could be treated differently. Have you ever found yourself advising anyone who is simply can't get their kvetching into control? And then you would maybe, have you ever thought or found about a person that you wouldn't be willing to match them because they're so kvetchy? Is there such a thing?
Yes. Somebody who kvetches so much is usually pretty negative, and they're not happy with themselves. They're not happy with their life or their lifestyle, and they're not happy with dating. They're not happy with me either. Like, they just don't like anyone. They usually don't like their job. They don't have good relationships with friends, with families. Somebody who is a regular kvetcher usually just sees the lens through this kvetching, like, negative vision. And they're not just not easy to get along with. They're just not in a healthy, great space. And it's not even good for them, let alone somebody else. So if somebody is a heavy kvetcher, I will often say, like, this, if I ever come across anybody that I think is relevant, I'll be in touch, but it's not somebody that I would take on as a client and say, I think I can help you. Yeah. I think that I can't help them, actually.
I think it's good that we finally had someone come out and say it, even though this is the Let's Kvetch podcast. But at the end of the day, someone who is really, if that's really your persona, and like you said, that life is so negative, that's something that needs to be addressed. We're making light of it. We're not really leaning into it so much. I'm glad we finally had you on the show to set us straight on that.
And you've given us a different. You've invigorated us in our mission to get rid of kvetching altogether. I mean, if our podcast had to stop, so be it. But
we could kvetch our way out of business here. Everybody could stop kvetching and just be sweet and lovely.
Do you think that we should have swag? I've been trying to tell Rabbi Leban, like coffee.
Yeah, you need like a hat.
Hats. Okay, I still.
In the dating world, we could have, like, don't kvetch and tell. Like, no kissing and telling.
Don't tell anyone.
I'm still a very respect the Clean Speech
Oh yeah.
program. So,
Right. Clean speech just isn't as trendy or as catchy as like kvetching. Kvetching is like a thing.
right. It resonates with.
Yeah, clean speech. I feel like I need to brush my teeth, my mouth, and shut it all the time.
Well,
you're blowing our cover here. That's the truth. It's a bait and switch. We talk about not kvetching, but we call it let's kvetch. So
right. Yeah, we would love to bring you in to Denver. We just don't have the budget, but we wish you much success in the book and the podcast, and you're doing amazing things for
people. Can go for all the different services, whether it's dating, coaching, or being matched up. Go to AleezaBenShalom.com or marriagemindedmentor.com, and you can get some help with all those things from the wonderful Aleeza Ben Shalom. It's been really great, and we do look forward to seeing you back in Denver.
So much for taking the time. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, maybe we can get the show. We can bring it to Israel. We can bring. You're still in the Holy Land, right? You're in Israel.
I'm in the Holy Land. Come.
You should come. Okay, Howard. It's a plan. All right. Next episode.
On my passport. Okay. As long as we can get the airlines flying again.
They're flying. I mean, just El Al, but they're flying.
This is the final kvetch at the buzzer here. Let's kvetch about the airlines and traveling to the Holy Land. Yeah. Very good. All right. This has been a great show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at cleanspeech.com. Let's kvetch. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Aleeza.
Thank you, Aleeza. We'll roll the credits and all the we have the Let's Kvetch theme song and all this kind of
Right.
Yo, welcome to the show. It's Let's Kvetch, where mindful speech and wisdom always stretch. Rabbi Raphael, Howard on the mic, dropping Torah gems every day insight. Let's Kvetch.